All right, Kayla, thank you so much for hopping on with us again to give us a little bit of an update. If for those of you that are tuning in or watching for the first time, we were able to touch base with Kayla Moeller, a 2018 graduate of Morningside College that was leaving Mercy One here in Sioux City and heading out to, I believe you're in Brooklyn, right? Are you
Correct. Yeah.
out in Brooklyn? And so she's been there for 3 weeks, and we just wanted to check in. Kayla, thank you so much for taking the time to hop on with us. I know you have a couple days off and kind of need to decompress a little bit. Let's
Yeah.
start there. How are you holding up? How are things going?
So it's kind of rough. It's really hard getting used to the differences here. So, for example, my ICU is actually an old psych unit. They reconstructed it within a few days. They, had to do all the suction hookup and the oxygen. They cut actual walls, holes into the walls, and put little holes so that way we can make all of our rooms negative pressure rooms. So it's been pretty crazy. It's also hard getting used to being at a teaching hospital. I'm working with a lot of residents where I'm used to physicians that have been practicing for quite a while and practicing across the country or the world. And so that's difficult to get used to. It's also interesting that I'm doing mostly everything. I do all my labs. I mix a lot of medicine by myself, and things are just run a little differently than back at home, and mostly just because of the pandemic aspect compared to the regular real world. So
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure it's just being thrown into the fire and hoping that you can handle what's going on.
yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about what you're seeing with patients specifically. I know you're in kind of a trauma-like setting, working with patients that are experiencing COVID. Can you talk to us about what it's like working with these patients?
So a lot of the patients that I have are already intubated. And if they're not, they are shortly intubated. By the time they get to our unit, they're very sick. A lot of them require heavy sedation, and they require a lot of support from our ventilators. For the healthcare people out there, that just means really high FiO2s, high PEEPs. I mean, I've seen most of them are at least 20s or higher. Um, we are constantly trying to prone them, which is usually a last ditch effort to save their lungs and get those heavy secretions out of their lungs. And that just means that we're going to put them on their stomachs to help ventilate the lungs better. Um, a lot of them are going into kidney failure. They're requiring continuous renal replacement therapy. And unfortunately, like the shortage of ventilators, we're also short on dialysis machines. And so usually when we run this, it's at least 24 hours or more. But since we're so short and all these patients are requiring it, we only have to go like 10, 12-hour increments, and then we have to pass the machine on to somebody else. And then we're just constantly going back and forth. And yeah, a lot of them are just, it's kind of a rough thing to deal with, and that's
Yeah,
for sure. But
kind of escalating quickly.
yeah, for
Talk
sure.
to me about what you're seeing with the nurses, and I mean, even you in particular. You talked about how quickly everything evolves and how you just have to be able to roll with the situation. What are you seeing with the nurses and your ability to kind of cope with that?
So one thing that I was always concerned about leaving my home is that the best thing about working at Mercy is the team I worked with. I'm so thankful for the people back there, and I miss them greatly. And I feel awful that I'm not there to help them in this time. But the team here is so supportive. I haven't had one complaint about the people that I work with. They are so kind and so welcoming. A lot of the staff nurses that originally live here and work here, you can just tell by looking at them, they are so exhausted. And it breaks my heart that I couldn't be there to help them too. Another thing is working in critical care, you kind of have to have a strong backbone and a really good composure. And I like to think that I have a pretty good composure. I can hold back my feelings and my emotions, but there have just been some tough days where I have to kind of sneak off just even to the patient's bathroom, and I kind of cry a little bit, then I compose myself and I just get right back out there, because I just don't have time to think about myself and what I'm going through, because I need to save these people and just do as much as I can for them. Um, it's just very emotionally and mentally and physically exhausted. A lot of these patients are still what we call full codes, which means we're doing everything. So if their heart stops, I'm doing everything I can to get it back. And there have been a few patients where I have them on every life-saving drug that I can give them, and I am just waiting on my toes, wait for them to pass, and I'm just there ready to do whatever I can when it gets to that point. And that alone causes a lot of what I call adrenaline dumping. I'm just in a constant adrenaline state, and by the end of that, just alone mentally, it's just very hard.
Yeah,
Very,
very
yeah.
difficult. And I
Yeah.
know the numbers out in New York City are getting better. I mean, at
Yes.
least what we're seeing is the numbers are trending in a positive direction. Um,
Mhm.
I know you had mentioned that tomorrow things are kind of opening up a little bit in New York City, and I know back here at home, the governor just announced yesterday. I don't know if you saw that Woodbury County is going to be opening up as well. Just
Yeah.
talk to me about your thoughts. I mean, I know numbers are trending well in New York City. We're still seeing some numbers rise here in Woodbury County. What are your thoughts on as things continue to open up? What advice would you give? Thoughts do you have? Anything like that?
So it is pretty scary opening things back up, especially the people that have seen this thing firsthand, like the nurses and all the other healthcare workers. It's a horrifying thing to go through, but it's also horrifying to see the toll that is taken on our economy and our country in general. And unfortunately, we can't just hide in our houses for the rest of our lives. So I do believe things need to open up, but there should be a lot of precautions taken. We should still practice safe social distancing. We should still practice safe, hand washing. I mean, that should always be a thing. Um, Continue to wear masks. Just open up the essential things first, and just gradually kind of work into it. I know that I've been watching a lot of news lately, and all the other countries are doing the same thing. And so far, it's been pretty effective. There are some countries that are opening other non-essential things, such as like the amusement parks, and they're seeing more outbreaks. Go figure. But I just, unfortunately, we can't just stay at home forever. But I am kind of interested and concerned to see what happens when we do open things back up. I personally believe that this is following pretty closely to what happened in 1918 with the Spanish flu, where we had the initial first outbreak. And then around fall and winter time, a different, stronger strain came through. Um, and then it's hitting people that had higher immunities. So, like, for the people that are working with it and might have the antibodies against it right now, it might hit us later on when the stronger strain comes through. So I'm kind of interested to see how this all pans out. Even if we do, once we start opening things back up, and it might not hit us right away, I don't believe that it's completely over. But yeah, it'll be interesting to kind
Yeah,
of see what happens. I just hope that everybody still stays safe and just keep practicing the safe social distancing.
most definitely. Well, we hope that you know that all of Morningside, the entire community, and even back here at home, and I'm sure Mercy One is all behind you. And thank you very much for your willingness to step up to those front lines and go to where you're most needed. Thank you. We're thinking of you, and we'll continue to check in, but we're excited to have you back. But please, as you kind of enter into week 4, and I know you got 8 weeks still total out there, so it's going to still be a long haul. We'll check in again soon, but take care of yourself. I'm sure, as you said, it's kind of got to be emotionally draining on yourself. So please take care of yourself and know that we're all behind you.
Okay, thank you.
Take care.